Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Monday, October 13th, a little after 6 o'clock in the evening, and this is our daily recap video for our 4 Roundhill weekly paying funds that we cover on this channel. The first 3 are 0DTE covered call strategies on the indexes, QDTE for the NASDAQ 100, XDTE for the S&P 500, and RDTE for the Russell 2000. The fourth is a Bitcoin covered call strategy ETF, YBTC, which is based off of an underlying iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. Reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. I repost things related to ETFs that we talk about on the channel. I let you know the trades for the day for the 0DTEs and let you know when videos are coming out. So if you want to be in the premiere to live chat. On days like today when I'm not around my computer, the 0DTE trades look like this, at least so I can get the information out. But on a regular day, it's going to look more like that. All right, let's start off by taking a look at how the markets performed. We weren't sure how bad Friday ended, if we were going to continue that, but it looks like that was not the case. NASDAQ 100 up 2.18%. QDTE slightly outperforming, going up 2.21%. S&P 500 was up 1.56. Again, the Roundhill Fund, XDTE, slightly outperforming, going up 1.59%. The Russell 2000 up 2.79. RDTE practically the same, 2.78%. So seeing some nice increases. And then finally, YBTC, we said the underlying is IBIT down actually, excuse me, 0.59%. YBTC was actually able to gain just a little, 0.12%. And we will explain why as we go through the spreadsheets. We'll start off with the trades though. QDTE started the week off selling 382 calls with a strike price of $24,810, collecting $18.97 per share, or $724,000. NDX, as we can see, closed at 24,750. Sorry, that's below that strike price, so it doesn't cost anything to settle out, and they get to keep the full $724,000. When we look at the holdings, they've got $919 million in assets under management, 26,730,000 outstanding shares, and the NAV at the start of the day was 34.39 before that nice 2.2% increase. We had no change in the holdings on Friday. Everything's always going to be a day behind in updating the holdings, a trading day behind. Most recently, last Friday, they paid 20.4112 cents per share to holders as of record on Thursday, so long as you purchased it prior to Thursday. If you missed my Friday video, my guesstimate for this coming one payment is similar. 20 cents even is what I went with on that. Maybe just slightly above it since they had such a nice rebound on the first day of the week. But they officially announce it in 2 days on Wednesday the 15th. But if you can't wait until then, on Tuesday the 14th around 8 o'clock at night, the website actually does get updated with the information. And when I say the website, I mean roundhillinvestments.com/ETF. Sorry. Okay, next up, we'll look at XDTE. They sold 600 calls on the SPX with a strike of 6,665, collecting $6.78 per share, or $406,000. SPX closed at 66.54. That's below the strike. It doesn't cost anything to settle those out, and they get to keep the full $406,000. When we take a look at the holdings, no changes again in the quantity of contracts or the strike prices or expiration dates. And I forgot to mention it. Obviously, all these values of all these deep in the money calls will now increase when we download the holdings tonight, because the underlying increased by over 2%. So similarly, these will all increase nicely because SPX was up over 1.5%. There's $396 million in assets under management. We reported a decrease in outstanding shares on Friday of 30,000, dropping it down to 9,255,000. NAV at the start of the day was 42.87 with an increase on the day, bringing the share price up to 43.58. They paid on Friday 21.1523 cents per share. And my guesstimate for this coming week is 20.75 cents. Again, I'm not positive on when they make that final decision. I know YieldMax bases it off the previous week, but makes the decision on the Monday. So if that were the case and they saw everything moving up, there's a possibility these payments could be slightly higher. Finally, for the 0DTEs, we have RDTE. Oops. Okay, and they sold 681 calls on the Russell 2000 with a strike of 24.55, collecting $2.77 per share or $188,000. The Russell, though, was up more than that, 24.61.42. So that is $6.42 beyond our strike. So that's how much it would cost to settle it out at the end of the day, or $437,000. We do get to subtract out the premium already collected of $188,000, and that results in a loss of $248,000 on the trading day. When we look at their holdings, again, no changes in their synthetics. They're deep in the money calls that they are writing calls off of. There's $160 million in assets under management and just under 5 million outstanding shares. The NAV at the start of the day, $32.39. Obviously, there was a nice increase in the underlying, so the share price of RDTE increased as well. All these values will be up tomorrow. On Friday, they paid 22.4722 cents per share. And my guess is right around that, 22 cents. Again, if they take Monday into account, just the movement of Monday. Obviously, when they're doing these, they're actually based off of not last week's performance, but the week before. But percentage-wise, a lot of times they're shooting for percentages that apply to the current price of the ETF. So it could possibly be a little over 22 cents, but I'll leave my guesses alone since I made them on Friday. All right, and then we look at YBTC. They're a little different. They don't make everyday trades. Every Friday they close out their weekly and sell the next one. So on Friday the 10th, they closed their old trade out and sold this new one on IBIT for $68.35. There was a large decrease, almost 1,000 contracts in the amount of their synthetic and what they're selling. So $68.35 is the new strike price. IBIT closed at $65.81, actually down a little bit. So now the reason the underlying went down, but the share price increased is because the small amount of decrease that it made will make the synthetic worth less. However, it also will make the expense to close out these sold calls shrink as well. So it's going to have shrunk at a rate or a pace faster than what the synthetic dropped, because there's going to be, and this week these are going to close out this week as well. So but in any case, because these are farther out of the money than those, they will shrink faster, because there's now only 4 trading days left, and the 68.35 is even less likely to be hit than the 66.70. So the expense will shrink, making the overall value just a little bit more. The synthetic at the start of the day was negative 2.1 million. Obviously, that will go a little further negative since the underlying dropped. And the guesstimate I made on Friday was 40.4397 cents per share. The previous payout was 37.7594 cents per share. They do announce on Tuesdays, not Wednesdays, so we will actually get the official announcement tomorrow from Roundhill for YBTC, but if you want to find out tonight, it'll be on the website after 8 o'clock. All right, that is all I have for you. Thank you for watching. Sorry the video is a little bit late today. I had a really long work day. So good luck trading tomorrow and catch you in the next video.